everyone, my name is Lori, my nickname is Urini, and I'd like to welcome you to Urini Bobini Creations. If this is the first time you've stopped by to check out my channel, I'd like to offer you a very special welcome. I hope you love what you see. If you do, please consider subscribing, giving me a big old thumbs up, and sharing with your fellow crafters. If you're one of my subscribers or you've been here before, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us today. We do have Easter coming, so with that in mind, I have a really special craft for you today. We're going to make this adorable little bunny gnome, and you'll just love the way his feet turned out, and he wasn't difficult to make at all. So let me stop yakking at you and we'll get on with the crafting. Okay, so for this project we're going to do an Easter Bunny gnome. So you're going to need a sock and a tin. It could be a cup, it could be whatever fits, just because we are going to do this to fill him with rice. I just have, this is just the cheapest kind of brand of rice I could find. I got a big bucket because I tend to do a bunch of these gnomes up from time to time, so I just bought a bigger one. If you have enough rice at home for this, use that, just plain old rice. So we're just going to fill them up. So there's our gnome. I'm just going to punch him down because I want him to kind of be rounder than taller. And just using an elastic, we're going to elastic the top closed. And that's all you're going to need for that. Just a plain old elastic. Alright, so there's our body for our gnome bunny. So for our little Easter bunny gnome, I just dug in my stash and I found this pink gingham that I thought was quite springy, so that'll do the trick. So I'm gonna measure around my gnome. That should just about do it, I think. Nice thing with gingham is it already has lines, so you can follow your lines, which I'm doing a terrible job of right now, but I will clean it up. I think that'll be more than long enough. Perfect. And just find some springish fabric, whatever you have in your stash should work just fine. We'll start with this. I'm not too worried about perfection at this point because I know I'm probably going to have to trim them down a little. Okay, so now I already have a seam, a straight edge just from what it was, so I'm going to, where do I want the back? I want that to be the back. So I'm going to put him to the edge, if you can see. So he's just not quite, I think I want him down a bit more because we're giving them bunny slippers, so we're going to want to have some space there. Okay, yeah, I am going to trim it down. I'm just going to trim it down to just above that line there. I think we'll be just fine. All right. Now this is being my back. I'm just gonna put him all the way around and just with some hot glue, I'm gonna glue it together. Now I will glue it to the body here in a minute, but I just want to be able to reposition if I need to. good. So that's what we've got. And now I am going to go ahead and just glue all the way around. And I'll just tuck them as I go. So we should be left with something that looks like this in whatever fabric you're using. Now don't worry too much about the edges, they're going to be hidden. So the next thing we're going to do is make a mob cap. Now the reason we're going to do that instead of the pointy hat that I usually do is because we're going to give him some bunny ears as well. So to make a mob cap, it's super easy. We just need, we'll take back some of our fabric here, and we just need to draw a circle. Okay, so for the mob cap, I just have this tin. We just need to make a circle. This may be a bit big, but by the time we gather it, I always tend to do it too small. So I'm going to make it a bit bigger. We can always trim it off if we need to. Just going to trace around it. There, and we'll cut her out. So now we just need a needle and thread. So I have doubled my thread. You can see that. I'm going to tie the knot in the end. And then just on the inside of our circle, we're just doing in and out. I'm going to go in about that far, I guess. And you're going to gather it. Okay, so now he's all gathered, and we're going to want to make him fit on there, of course. But we're going to put some fluff in him before we, and don't cut your strings yet. We're going to wait and make sure everything's going to fit the way we want before we tie him off and cut our strings. So we're going to get some stuffing and just put a little stuffing in the mob cap. So I'll just put some in there till you figure it's about right. I'm gonna pull them. And we want our edges out, not tucked in, so you can just play with your ruffles till you get them where you want them. I think that's going to be pretty good. But before I actually put the hat on, I am going to do his beard. And to do that, I've got this roll of faux fur, and I just got it from Dollarama. That comes in a roll. I think I paid $3-4 for it, something like that. And we're going to give him a beard, and we are going to put his little face on. So to start, I'm just going to get it where I think I want it to be. Should probably do it. Now when you cut faux fur, a little trick I've learned is, okay, if we want it about there, before you cut, you want to separate your fur as best you can. It won't be perfect, but it will be better. And I just keep pulling it apart until I can see, I don't know if you can see it real good on camera, but see the sort of the fabric that the faux fur is attached to, if that makes sense. Because if you don't, you get this funky line where it's not fluffy like everywhere else. So I just spread it out like that. Then I will cut it. And we will shape the beard after. I just want to make sure I have enough. Now you can see when you spread it back out again, it has the sort of same edge as the other side. So I don't want it to be perfectly straight, obviously, so I'm going to taper my ends. And I'm kind of going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull it apart on the corners to give me a shape. And that gives us a bit of a better shape for a beard. So let's just see if I'm happy with that. Yes, I think that will do it. So the next thing we're going to do before we glue them on is we're going to put a V. So what we're going to do with this one, and I'll try and show you, is being that he's going to be a little bunny, we're going to give him a little face like that instead of just your regular gnome nose. So I am going to glue him on now, but I am going to cut that. I'm going to cut a triangle. And that just helps the nose and everything sit a little bit better. And I made it a bit bigger than I normally would because we're doing the bunny nose and everything in there. Okay. Pull my away. Glue his little nose, or cheeks, I guess. Those are the cheeks. I'm going to put his nose on top, and you'll see why in a minute here. So that's him so far. Don't worry, we're going to hide that still. So that's him so far again. And now I've got this foam board and we're going to cut him some teeth. I'm just going to cut a strip off of there. No, it's not very straight yet. We're not worried yet. And I'm just going to cut the corners off so he fits better. And then I'm not going to cut all the way, but I'm going to cut in the middle, just like that. And there we have some bunny teeth. All right, so now we can go ahead and do our mop cap. This part might be a little bit difficult for me to show you because I need to work with my hands, so I'm just kind of gathering it where I think I want it to be. I'm tucking it in a little bit better. Now I am going to knot it off right here. So to do that, I'm just going to go through and stick my needle through the thing. That creates our knot. And I'll do it a couple of times just to make sure it stays. Okay, so that's sort of what she's looking like. I'm just going to have to glue it a bit at a time. So we're gonna Alrighty, so there is our little guy so far. So we need to make him some ears now. So to do that, we'll go back to our faux fur. We're going to cut 2 strips, just check on the length. And I think that length is good, that's what I'm kind of going for. So we'll cut 2 of those. So now that we've got those all cut out, I'm just going to cut them to a point at the top. And then you'll see I'm trying to cut more of the fabric than the fur because we don't want that funky, funny edge. It's not crucial because of what we're doing, but yeah, just try and leave as much of the fur on as you can. So then for the inside of his fur, I've got this pink, or sorry, his ears, I've got this pink felt, and we're just going to cut it to go right inside our little faux fur bunny ears. Okay, so we've cut our fur, we've got our pink felt, and then we just pinch the bottom corners together to get our ears. So we've got both of our little ears now. Now in order to attach them, I am going to trim some of this fur off. It'll just stick better. So back to our little guy. And we're just gonna use kind of a boatload of glue. So that's where we're at right now. We got his little bunny ears on. And we're gonna add some detail after, but our next thing, and these were the things that were the most fun to make, was the bunny slippers. So how I made those, I simply found a cap. This is just off of a jar of some sort. Then with your faux fur, I'm going to cut it, oops, quite a bit taller than it. So I'm going to cut it about there. And again, we're going to want to do our spread out our fur thing. Now I'm just going to hot glue it all the way around. You do need a little piece. Mine doesn't go all the way around. It's not wide enough. If you've got it by this sheet, then that would work. But I'm just going to hide the back. It's not really going to show too much anyway, but we're just going to make sure that we don't have any of that red poking out anywhere. So I'm just going to fill in that bit. Now we're going to put a lot of glue up here. I'm just going to smush it around in there. And we'll push it back on top of itself. Just like that. So then you're left with this poofy thing, which is exactly what you want. Now we are going to do the ears for the bunny slippers exactly the same way we did them for our real bunny, but we're going to make them considerably smaller, of course. Our little ears, our pointy ones. We're doing the pink in the middle. There's our little ears. Okay, so now we're going to give them this little face. So I'll just decide which side. I think this side's good. I'm going to start. I got this little pink bead. And then I just have 2 black beads. And just to make it easier, if you've got these skewers, I use them all the time for everything. It just helps do it. So we're gonna just add some glue on there. There's a little bunny face, and we'll put on his ears. But before we do that, I just want to get the slippers attached. So I've already done the first one. I wanted to make sure it would work. So I'm gonna do my best here to let you see. So I'm gonna push my rice up so he can still stand. Let's make sure I've got him even here. And then I'm just gonna put like a boatload of glue. So that's what he's kind of looking like here right now. So we just need to give him these ears. So same way I did on the top, I'm just gonna put some glue on the ears. So we're just gonna add a few final touches to our little guy, just those little bit of extras. I've got these are for making flowers. I'm going to use them as whiskers. You can use black thread, wire, whatever you have on hand. So I'm just going to give them some whiskers.